Now, what you said, like, about, like, your mom and having to, like, love her regardless of the relationship is something that I think is foreign to people.
For sure.
Because I think a lot of people think that in order to love something, it has to be right up under you. You gotta...
Or it's gotta return something to you.
Yeah. And I almost think, too, it requires, like, because a question I always have is, how can we balance that with self-love? Like, where in that does it become, like, toxic for me to love you? You know, like, where in it does it become toxic for me? Like, I'm giving all this love and not getting anything back. But where in that is it, like, I'm depleting myself? Or does love not, you don't get depleted? Like, Like, that's the balance I'm trying to find. The balance between self-love and the balance of loving someone. Like, how do you balance that?
I feel like there's multiple facets to this thought, right? So, like, this is a cup.
Yeah.
This cup has water in it. It's fairly full.
Yeah.
If this cup overflows, I either have a mess or I need another cup.
Yeah.
The problem is we don't have a full cup and we try to pour into other people. Then when the cup's empty, you're upset.
Yeah.
Self-love is filling the cup until it overflows. Then the love that you give out, it was a surplus. Don't get me wrong, you'll have moments where you don't have a full cup and you pour, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's how I view it. I regulate and I got it, but you have to be in touch with yourself to know how full are you? What do I have to give? So when somebody comes to you and says, I need this love, you can look honestly and say, you know what? I dated somebody, I actually wasn't even gonna talk about this, but I dated somebody upon coming back from California. Because I didn't expect the hardship of like family and the living situation when I came back, my cup got empty. But I kept trying to pursue the situation. But I didn't have anything to give. I got to a point where I was told, like, Dre, I get it. I understand what you're going through. But I don't have anything else to give you. I don't have anything else to give you. I need you to go do what you have to do so that you can have what you need. That's the most love I've ever received from any person ever. In that moment, that's what I felt. I was hurt because I was disappointed in myself that I didn't see it beforehand. But in that moment, she loved me so much that she told me that she didn't have anything for me, as opposed to keep going. Now both of our cups are empty.
Wow. Because that's all, in a way that like shows the amount of self-love she has for herself. Because you have to have that first. And then it's like, okay, like, I don't even have any to give to this guy. So let me tell him, because I do love him. So let me tell him so he can go and get his cup filled somewhere else.
And not even necessarily in another relationship, but it's from self. You know what I mean? Like, because in a relationship, we're pouring into each other. You know what I mean? But if I don't have anything and I'm constantly asking you, once you get to the bottom, which is where she got, I had to be like, you know what? All right, I respect that. And it made me, to this day, I don't know that there's been a person that's been able, like in the hierarchy of my mind of like who cares about Dre, I haven't felt anything high, because that message is something that I just never got. So the fact that I got it, it changed my entire perspective about, number one, what I had to give, what I was giving, how I loved, and then also like, I look at the people who tell me they care about me differently now, based upon whether or not they pay attention to the cup. On either side, theirs or mine. And so self-love is definitely a balance in and of itself. To be aware of the love that you need, the love that you have, the love you need to cultivate. It's almost like performing an audit, right? If I audit and I say, okay, I got this much love, which means I can afford to give this much. And then once you know yourself, you know, once you hit a certain level, I start getting cranky, I start getting angry, I get depressed, I start sleeping in, I start doing this. I know when I can feel that in myself. And because I had a person love me enough to tell me that I didn't have it, I constantly audit that system all the time now. all the time, and it changed my life forever. So
So when you're feeling empty, you do things for you so you can fill up, essentially.
Or a better option that I found is a quote that I fell in love with was, when you have nothing, give everything. 9 times out of 10, wherever you're at, you go back a notch or two, there's another person that needs help. But since you're here, you know what it's like to go from here to there, which means you have advice, guidance, or resources that can help a person get there. I take a step and I look at somebody that's either here or somewhere there, and I offer a helping hand. I don't have to look for it, though. The universe, as soon as I get to a point where I feel like I don't have like what I need, I start saying thank you immediately. Immediately when I feel empty, I say thank you. I appreciate you for waking me up today. I appreciate you for continuously using me as a vessel, and I know that I can't quite see it right now, but I know you're still using me. Thank you. Please guide me to something that's going to help empower me or somebody else. And then once you see yourself empower someone else, you're like, yo, who did that?
And then yeah.
What did I go through that gave me that ability? And once you start recapping what you've been through and what you've been doing, it starts fun. Your cup is just going to get crazy. It just goes.
Yeah, I actually, that's where I'm at with it now. When something bad happens, I'm just like, all right, well, I'm glad this worked out at that time, this worked out, and thank you for helping me have this work out, you know? But what's hindering people from loving at that ability? Like, what's if you could say, I know it's probably it's multiple things, but if you could say one thing that's hindering people from loving at like a great level, like what is it?
Constant comparison to anything outside of your old self.
Your old self meaning?
You from yesterday is not the you from today. That's an okay comparison. Where was I yesterday? Where am I today? Where was I 5 years ago? Where was I 6 months ago? Healthy comparison all day long. Me versus him. Me versus you. I'm going to compare myself to you. We live 20 some odd different years.
Yeah.
Different thought processes, emotions, everything. Different love, all that. However, 9 times out of 10, one of the first 3 apps when you open your phone is Instagram.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Immediately you start comparing. Immediately. Just pay attention the next time you go on Instagram and you like, see somebody on a trip, see somebody make some money, see somebody, especially in your lane, right? You want to create this content series, you see somebody with an interview. They might got a big guest or a bunch of followers, their little sponsor joint, say 1.4 million.
Yeah.
Constant comparison. If you peep game, you might see me go off the gram for like 3 to 5 days at a time. I constantly purge off of that because you're just intaking everybody else's data, everybody else's accomplishments, achievements, and this and that. And it's almost impossible not to compare. Easiest way to not compare is to just not look. You'll get healthier over time, trust me, so you get to like, but there's that moment where you're like, oh man, I want to do that. There's always that little kid in us, right? Where you're like, I want to do that. Like, I want to go there. I want to create that. I want to be that. So that's always going to be in us. So for me, I just kind of like, I go into my box and I focus solely on me. And then 9 times out of 10, when I encounter something that's similar, I'm like, wow, that's what's up. I'm moving. I know what I've been doing over the last 5 days because I turned this off and I've been working. So you better have been working for the past 5 days instead of posting on the gram.
Yeah, I don't think people get, like, because I work in social media, so I don't think a lot of people get that it's curated. Even me sometimes when I'm going through it, like, I'll kind of get caught up, like you said, but it's very, very curated, like, very curated, and I don't think people, like, get that.
If you look up the history of propaganda and media, first off, I'm very careful on Instagram also because you never know what you can see. The trauma that you can experience on Instagram is endless and it's scary.
And you're receiving that. Like, you're receiving
I scrolled down Instagram the other day and I saw somebody. You can see people taking their lives on social media. You can see somebody's life being taken, some type of traumatic event. And because we all have these existing traumas that exist inside of us, you never know what will trigger you. You never know what will send you into a negative mindset. And I might not necessarily be looking to compare myself to somebody, but like say I'm in a sad mode because I didn't talk to my mom in a while. And I know how heavy that is. And then all of a sudden I see something that strikes me. And that's something that's just on my personal scale. That's kind of small in my grand scheme of thinking. But to other people, I'm just like, stop comparing. Just start self-examining. Love yourself where you are. There is no future you that is greater than the current you. It's the same. It's you develop, but neither one of them deserves more or less love. And I think that's what we do. We paint the picture of what our lives should be, and because we attach ourselves so much to it, whatever's in the present, we despise.
Yeah.
Which stops us from being able to love ourselves, because at the end of the day, we know it's our fault that we're not where we know we should be.
Yeah.
Even if something else happened, that happening stopped you from wanting to do what you know you should do. So when you're comparing yourself to other people, you're automatically saying that they're better than you. When you compare yourself to the future that you want, that you haven't worked for, you're constantly telling yourself that the present isn't enough. If you start to live in the present, understand the lessons from the past, and multiply where you're currently at with the healthy expectation that the future will be great in a way that you cannot even imagine. When you surrender to that power, when you surrender to that, that's when I believe you start to live a healthier life. That's what I personally experience.
Like, how do you surrender? Like, what does that look like?
You said earlier that it's not right or wrong, it just is. That's a thought process that I've adopted. That's something my dad says to me all the time. He's like, it's not about like right or wrong, it just is. And he's a criminal defense attorney, so he lives exclusively in logic and fallacy.
Yeah.
And so I'm in that world oftentimes talking to him like, well, I feel this. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Like, it is. You know what I mean? What you feel about it doesn't change it. It is.
Yeah.
And so I think we do a bad job. I hear people all the time, well, I feel like this, and I feel like this, and I feel like that. And I'm one of them.
Yeah.
What does what you feel change? We spend so much time entertaining our negative emotions or assertions of whatever the situations are, as opposed to saying, all right, cool, that's it. Like Donald Trump, he's the president.
It is. Like, it is. Like, this is what it is.
We need to start talking about the things that could be productive from this conversation. While I understand that ignorance and negativity is being spewed from a political platform right now, I chose to focus on the fact that, hey, I see one person that showed us that you don't necessarily have to be intelligent to hold positions of power. Boom.
Yeah.
A myth. Debunked.
Yeah, they're not as smart as they seem. They really
Access
not.
what? No access. Are you kidding me? You can't do what?
Yeah.
This is what I start telling people. Say out loud, Donald Trump is president, but I can't, whatever your dream is. Say it. And just watch what it sounds like. Watch what it sounds like.
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
And that's just, you know what I mean? No shade to him. He's a representation of a system that we knew had some problems and things like that to it.
Yeah.
He just so happens to be one of the people that's willing to vocalize whatever he wants, whenever he wants, right?
Exactly.
But I'm just using that as a frame of reference of like, what I feel about that doesn't change it. What are the actions that I could take to change it? Can I empower a generation to understand that they can take a position of leadership to help change their community and or our society?
Yeah.
How can I use what I don't like as a platform to create awareness of what I do?
You just said a handful right there. You just said a handful.
It's just a thought process. It's just how you approach it, right? It's just it's positive versus negative perception. And the more you look at something and you're looking for positive, looking for what's great about it, looking for what you love, including yourself. How often you wake up in the morning and look at you like, what do I love? And just start looking.
Yeah. No, you're right.
What can I love? What have I done that I can love? Where am I at? And I feel like that practice starts to give you like...
That's kind of like you're surrendering.
Somebody said earlier that we mine for our strengths. Same way you mining for a diamond, you mine for your strengths. What we expect is to look at ourselves and say, all right, I immediately know what I can do and can't do. But you don't, because you didn't do anything. So you don't have yourself in action. You don't have any proof of concept. So that's one big thing. If you start, at least you have something.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you're basically trying to use your imagination to believe in yourself. And if your imagination has been programmed by the wrong people, wrong situation, wrong things, you're not going to be able to find that belief. There's nothing to find there. But if you can put your hands on something and be like, yo, I did that. I did that.
Yeah.
Your brain can't tell you you can't because it's already done. At least a piece of it.
So my last question, what is your vision?
My vision is to use the things that I encounter. That's a heavy question.
Yeah. It is. It's crazy because it's like when you because I find, you know, now I'm vocalizing a lot of things. Like I'm a person, I read a lot, and instead of necessarily maybe like reading my devotions in my head or whatever, I try to say it out loud because I feel like saying it out loud makes it real. So, you know, like it's when you can vocalize it, it's like, okay.
And I say it, and I'm not gonna lie, like I say it often, and every time I say it, it scares me. Every time.
That's a good thing.
It is. It is. I want to create. My vision is I am creating an educational platform to help people discover their purpose and power, and then help them build what they should do with it. Self-discovery to entrepreneurship and execution. I feel like entrepreneurship is the best way for us to discover who we are, because as an entrepreneur, you assume a lot of the responsibility that we often defer to other people when we commit to a goal or something.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to run the company, but if you are a part of something that gives you responsibility that sits on your shoulders, I want to help people discover why they should do that, and then also help them build what they feel capable of building after they discover that. So it sounds like the way I describe it most times is like the Boys and Girls Club of digital media. So teaching people kind of like coping skills, self-identity through vocation. Because videos and photos are the hieroglyphs of our generation.
Yeah.
If you can teach people how to tell and understand their own stories as well as other people's stories through those realms, and you have created a therapy session that they can go home to alone.
Wow. Well, I got gems as per the usual. Like it's funny because I do these and it's like it helps me. It helps me like continue my journey and finding my way. So I really want to thank you for coming, spending time. Where is the love? Like when is that? Do we have a timeline or something to give the people or so they can watch out for it? Because it sounds like it's just going to be like a dope doc, and you know I can't wait to see it. You know,
the doc series I'm toying with it's going to either be weekly or bi-weekly. I'm trying to toy with that, but towards the end of this month, so like the third or fourth week is when the pilot, so to speak, is going to come out. Okay. It's going to come out around the event that I'm having on February 20th. I know this airs after. But we're having an event with Delilah D. She's one of the local influencers and kind of like media people. She works with iHeartRadio and does their coordination of kind of like promotional events. We're going to sit down and have a conversation about what it means to love yourself in terms of dating yourself and building yourself into the person that you should become to achieve whatever your vision or dream is. So really the future looks like curating these events that bring people together to have a live conversation about it. Because I can put content out all day long, and I think there are a lot of people who are, but I think what's going to separate people from that is the people who actually have a community around it where we come together in person and we delve into the issues. So the episodes are going to be coming out, like I said, like bi-weekly. And I really don't know what it's going to turn into. Like I didn't go to film school. I didn't go to school for like documentary filmmaking. So I went to YouTube University and figured it out. And so now as it's being built, I just want to put it out and see what people feel. And if they demand it once a week, then it may come once a week. But as of right now, we have like 8 to 10 episodes lined up. So I'm just excited to see how those are received. And then from there, I will see how that conversation has or has not helped. And then we'll go from there. In the meantime, you'll see me spitting poems and different open mics and delivering keynotes and things like that just to keep spreading awareness.
Oh, tell the people your socials and all of that.
You can find me at humblegenius.org or really on any social platform at Andre Wyze. That's ANDREWYZE. Wyze standing for with youthful zeal and excellence.
All right. Thank you so much, Andre. Vision matters. We cut.